How much time you want on those, so I'll let you be there. Pretty exciting.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our weekly Wednesday afternoon live broadcast session. I am very honored today to introduce a really special guest. He is, first and foremost, he is a Catholic priest. He is also a retired professor from the English department here at Taiwan Catholic University. And he's also a prolific writer. He as a columnist for the China Post for more than 20 years. Welcome, Father Bauer.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you very much. With such a beautiful introduction, perhaps if you won't mind, I'd like to just amend that just a little bit. The China Post has stopped publication on paper in Taiwan as of 2 weeks ago. May 15th was the last paper edition of the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So now it is available to subscribers online for online reading. Mm-hmm. And my column, I ended back at the time of the Chinese New Year. There was a process of discussion with the owners of the newspaper, and I reached a decision to withdraw my column not to withdraw, but to stop writing it.
Yes, but for 20 years you wrote for.
I did, yeah.
And I think that is amazing. Actually, that is really quite amazing. Every week you wrote a column, and that's more than 50. Actually, that's more than 50 a year. For 20 years, that's more than 1,000 columns. So that makes you a prolific writer.
Well, it's very kind of you to say that. Only for the sake of accuracy. That is true. You're accurate.
Yes.
I had a couple bouts of bad health, and I was in the hospital twice during that time. So I was not writing when I was recovering.
Of course.
And then today we're traveling. We're on travel as a topic and all that. So when I've traveled, the China Post at one time asked me to submit the column while I was on the road. But I said that I did not want to do that.
I see.
We could have done that. I could have gone through the trouble. It would have been a little trouble for me because I like to write at home in Taiwan about Taiwan topics. But I told Mr. Huang, he was at that time the owner of the newspaper, that I preferred not to do that from the United States when I was on home leave. So, in fact, it's not quite every week for 20 and a half years, almost 21 years, but it's practically every week.
And it's more than 1,000 columns.
Oh yeah,
it's more than 1,000.
I'm virtually certain it is. Yeah. Thank you. That's
thank you, Father. Yes. No, I think we are all really impressed with such an achievement. And like you said, today our topic is on travel.
Right.
And I think the question that's on a lot of students' minds, and like I said, students feel free to ask some questions. We will field your questions shortly. But a very general statement, Father.
Sure.
What is travel for you? What does the word travel generate for you in your mind? What are some thoughts you have generally about travel?
Well, my first thought, Andrew, and by the way, he did not ask me that ahead of time, so this is really off the cuff for me. It's fun. I like to travel. I don't travel very often. Now, my younger brother is an attorney, and his whole working life, his whole adult life, has been on the road. He's been in airplanes. He's been all over the world for his company, and now as head of Bauer advising, he travels quite a bit. I've never been that way. So for some people, traveling may be a way of earning a living. It's not really for me. It's going back home every 2 or 3 years to visit my family, my friends, and then coming back, traveling back to Taiwan. I have had, as we may have time here to share with some photographs, a few trips, a few traveling experiences with Fuda students to the Philippines with student exchange programs, and that really I grabbed onto as I continue to think about today and sharing with your students. But travel, you ask me, travel is fun, it's exciting, it's always a little bit of an adventure for me. I actually like airplane food, you know. I think it's pretty good. And although I complain always about how expensive food is in airports,
Yes.
I've been known to drop a few bucks, even knowing I'm going to have too much food in my body in a few hours on the plane, simply because I get lulled in at nice restaurants at airports.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco, Chicago,
Yes.
Detroit, I've overeaten in all of those places.
See.
Narita, changing planes, some of you have changed planes in Narita. You can get plenty of food there too,
Yes.
outside of Tokyo.
Yeah. So, Father, what are some of your favorite memories of travel? You mentioned going back for home leave. You also mentioned the Philippines. What are some favorite memories for you?
Well, the student exchange trips, I've had 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've been lucky and very blessed to accompany groups of Fuda students to Bohol, the Philippines, to Holy Name University.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have time later, I'll share a couple souvenirs here from Bohol with you.
We'll get to that.
Sure. I really have enjoyed those trips with the students. The bonding, the feeling of closeness that you share with those students, because we meet ahead of time, a time or two before we have the trip. I've not been part so much of the preparatory work. The other professors have prepared the students, and then they bring me in as a kind of a spiritual background guy.
Yes.
Holy Name University, where we visited and studied English, the students studying, is a Catholic university.
Yes.
It's similar to Furen, except that almost all the students there are Catholic, and almost none of the students here are. And of course, almost none of our faculty here are Catholic, but almost all the faculty at Holy Name are Catholic. So that's one reason Fuda seemed to want me to go with the students. It's kind of be a bit of a bridge maker to help them feel at ease. They're not Catholic really, and they're in a Catholic environment. But I'm along as a Shenfu, and right. So the bonding is very enjoyable for me. Meeting with the students a couple of times, 3, 4, 5 times, or 2 times, and then we go to the airport, and then all of that I'm with them, and you're together almost 24 hours a day while you're there for a week or 10 days at a time.
Yes.
And then you return to Taiwan, and you're with them until we get off that plane.
Yes.
And then the families of the students are there. We also have have had buses there for a significant part of our group just goes on by bus from the airport. We return to Fuda. Yeah.
Wonderful. So in many ways, your work as both a Catholic priest and as a professor, as a teacher here at Fuda, informed this travel to the Philippines.
Yes, I really believe I do agree with you. You know, I feel very strongly about the importance of breaking down barriers. I don't think we need any more walls between peoples. This is one reason, if you'll pardon a political remark, I feel very sad about the present President of the United States, who I feel is a wall builder rather than a wall taker-downer, you know. Although now down here and over there in Saudi Arabia, he seemed in some ways to be doing taking the proper steps to breaking down some walls. I don't know how the Jewish people are going to respond to all that in Israel.
I understand he touched a wall recently.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So in terms of helping students from Fuda meet Filipino students, helping them to accept Filipino professors as equally competent as Dr. Murphy, as myself, Dr. Donna Tong, or any or other, Dr. Kate Leo and so on, Dr. Tammy and so on. These are wonderful colleagues in the Philippines who are perfectly capable of teaching English and different types of courses having to do with cultural exchange. Okay, so I feel really good about being able to take this personal value. I feel very strongly about this. I very much enjoy being a bridge builder between Taiwan and the United States culture when I'm with you, my students. Even today, I feel as if I'm a little bit of a kind of a builder of ties between peoples and language groups, cultures, which are a little bit different from each other. We certainly did that in the Philippines.
Yes. I think since we're on the topic of building a bridge, I think we can now build a bridge virtually from here to our students. Do we have questions from students at this point?
Yes.
We do? Okay,
Yes.
so Iris will, she will field us some questions. So Iris.
So there's a question from Hu Jingyu.
Jingyu, hello Jingyu, she's a commentator. Hi Jingyu, thank you for
Hello,
watching.
Jingyu. We look over here. Hi, Jingyu. How are you?
He asked, what's your favorite food at night market in Taiwan?
Well, any kind of thing that looks like a xiaolongbao delights me. Now, I'll also throw something at you. It's very simple in Chinese culture. culinary culture is swan latang. Guotia. I like the swan latang, sweet and sour soup. What could be more simple? Many Taiwan friends may consider that to be too common, but I really enjoy good swan latang. A guotia, anything like that. I like sausages. Taiwan sausage is a little sweet, perhaps, in comparison with European sausages.
Right.
Certainly very sweet compared to American hot dogs. You can't really, it's a different thing.
Right.
But I like those kinds of things.
Also, there is a question from Su Xinyu.
Xinyu.
Hello, Xingyi.
She asks, are there any culture shock for you?
When you came to Taiwan, I think.
Well, you know, I came to Taiwan a long time ago. My beard is now pretty white, I know, depending on the lighting and what shirt I'm wearing or whatever. It's very useful for getting a nice seat on the MRT. See, I look older now. So when I first came to Taiwan, you were not born yet. I first came in 1976, and I went to Hsinchu. We talk about a trip. I took the trip from Fuda on the bus to Hsinchu countless times because I would come up. I came up in those years once a month. I lived in Hsinchu for a year and a half, for 18 months, and then I came to Fuda about once a month just to relax on the weekend with the other Shenfu. And then my job was to take the bus back to Hsinchu and go back to the Chinese classes. So now the question is culture shock. You know, our standard of living in Taiwan was quite different 40 years ago. So there was an odor in the air around some of the spots on the roads near our school because children would use that as a bathroom area. Children from it was kind of a rural setting, a little bit on the edge of Hsinchu, out of the town, really out of the city it was. And there were pigsties, people raising shuanio right next door to school. I did not bring that picture for Andrew to show you, but I have pictures somewhere in a scrapbook, old-fashioned pictures of shuanio, these water buffalo, which I thought were enormously interesting. Later I discovered they're kind of, you have to be careful around them. Right. But they were friendly to me. I went right up and practically, I didn't quite pat them. But anyway, there were odors in the air, primarily from children, right. Not having perhaps a convenient place to go to the bathroom. They weren't home, they were out playing outdoors. So rather than go home to use a toilet, they just went there. And they all used the same place. So when you walk by, you could really smell it in the air. Yeah, that was a bit of a shock to me. I think a happy shock was how delicious the food was. That not at school. The school had, you know how school food is. But it was okay. I'm not complaining, you understand. But boy, Tangsu Li Ji, earlier you asked about food. Oh, the sweet and sour pork. There was a man, that's all he made. He had a big little restaurant, little, not so big table. So we all sat there at night, once a week or so. Father Vargo and I would go there, right. And just order it's all he had, Tangsu Li Ji. So that was a form of culture shock in the right direction, a positive, that you could eat all meat. A meal that was all meat. No rice, no vegetables, no bread, nothing. But the Tangsu Li Ji was terrific, and you had a whole pile of it, and we would eat it and go away. I'm talking too long about food here. Any other questions?
Yeah, sure. A question from Hong Mingru.
Mingru, hi Mingru.
Hello, Mingru.
She asks, you say that you seldom travel. So what is the reason that makes you want to travel? Well,
you see, I belong to what we call a Xiu Hui. 我当神父是个修会，一个神有修士要有神父。So our Xiu Hui, our religious order, we promise to serve. Our function in life is to try to serve the church and to serve where our church is present. So our church is present, the Catholic Church in Taiwan. So our 圣言会是我们的修会，是我们的名称。So 圣言会, I belong to 圣言会, to this religious community. And so I pledge my life to service. I do my best as a member of this 修会. So that means I take a promise, we call it a vow actually, of what's called poverty, chastity, and obedience. Now essentially with poverty, it means I try to live a simple lifestyle. Now I'm dressed up today with my Filipino, one of my Filipino shirts on, because of our trip talk today. But normally travel, we only travel for work or for ministry, that's our work as Shenfu or Shosha, or to go home to see our families every 2 or 3 years. Our men in the old days never went home. Even for deaths in the family in the old days, when I was a little boy, I was not a priest yet. Our men did not even go home for a death in the family. They were at their service post and they stayed there. Father Vargo, a good friend of mine, when his brother passed away, he was not allowed to go home for his funeral. I was shocked. But those were the very last days of the order at that time.
Sorry. Oh, the connection is...
Okay.
Yes. But